and welcome to the Falcon Edgeguarding Guide. Let's get right to it. I'm going to derive most recoveries into various classes for the purpose of making it easier to pinpoint how you edgeguard each one. To start, characters with rising up Bs with a hitbox, like Mario, Marth, Link, etc. So with these characters, at lower percents, you usually want to try and figure out what scares them so that you can either hit them before they can use their up B safely, because doing so will, when they're that far off stage, will cause them to die, or figuring out how they're going to try and come back so you can either two-frame them with down air or go off with weak knee into etc. For instance, a good way of conditioning these kinds of edge guards is either one, going off stage with a jump and then immediately jumping back to the stage to make it look like you're going to try and edge guard them to see how they react, or two, going out there with back airs and weak knee into neutral air to try and hit them before they have a chance to use their up B. This is usually the most effective way to try and edgeguard these characters, as otherwise they can't really afford to use their up B there, so they have to try and combat you in other ways or just flat out die. So that's my main recommended way of just dealing with them. Next up, there are characters with tether recovery, such as Ivysaur, Toon and Young Link, or Joker. Joker without Arson, that is. So with these characters, they usually can recover from pretty far, so you're usually not going to be able to edgeguard them that effectively most of the time, but there are still things you can do. Going out there with a lot of back airs is going to be probably your main way of doing it, and trying to guess when they're going to tether to the stage so that you can two-frame them with down air. I'm going to be completely honest, there's very rarely much more you can do against those characters. Just in general, try to go out there far, and most of these characters don't really have ways to effectively stop you. They kind of just have to try and get around you and hope it works out. So if you're smart about it, you can make it work. Next up, there's characters with flexible movement-based up Bs without hitboxes, such as Olimar, Duck Hunt, and Mega Man. These characters, the recovery mix-ups are usually more about just trying to figure out when you're going to throw out hitboxes and get around them versus beating them out or anything, because obviously they don't really have any other options. So because of this, you're going to be significantly more reliant on weak knee into neutral air, which is a combo or frame trap at some percents. You're going to be reliant on just going out there with back airs and hiding under the lip of the stage so you can reverse up B them on reaction. And in general, you're going to reverse up B on these characters significantly more aggressively than you will other characters, because if you're accurate about it, they have no choice but to get hit by it in quite a lot of situations, which is wonderful. Just make sure that you're brave and that you learn your up B distances so that you can cover their options and just delete their stocks in quite a large variety of positions. Then there are characters with teleport up Bs. So characters with teleport up Bs, you're actually going to edgeguard fairly similarly to characters with rising up Bs a lot of the time, in that most of the time you're either trying to, one, get them to teleport early so that you can jump back to the stage and cover them with an option, or two, just try and two-frame them with down air. But in general, especially characters with shorter teleport up Bs, such as like Palutena for instance, if you really go far out there off stage, you can hit them before they can safely up B, or you can force them to up B very high, in which case you can also just cover that with a hitbox. So make sure you're not afraid to go really deep after them, because they have to respect it, and you can just delete them at a ton of different percents, and it's great. And of course, if you think that they're going to up B before you even get a chance to hit them, then just on reaction, double jump back to the stage and then try and hit them with down air, back air, or whatever else you think you can based on where you predict they're going to recover. Most of the time they're going to try and teleport straight to the ledge, but if it looks like you're going to cover it, they might try and go diagonal and upwards towards the stage, in which case just try and land on stage and then up tilt them if they try to retreat back to the ledge. If they don't retreat back to the ledge, I personally recommend down smash. It's hard to go wrong with the move, and no matter how they try and land, as long as you position yourself well, you can cover every possible option. Then, there are characters with flexible movement up Bs with hitboxes. This is a exclusive class, I guess. There aren't very many of them. Good examples are like King K. Rool and Plant. So with these characters, there's usually two different modes of edgeguarding. There's hiding under the lip of the stage so that if they try and curl under it, you can just reverse up B or back air them. Or two, they'll try and go up and above you, in which case you can do just wall jump off of the stage into up B or wall jump off the stage into neutral air. Those are going to be your main ways of edgeguarding these characters. since usually it's pretty difficult to challenge them from above. It's better than to just like jump off stage, use your air dodge to get past the ledge without grabbing it, and then from there, just hide under the stage, wait for them to come up, and then reverse up B or back air depending on position. Or I guess if you're feeling really lucky, maybe go for down air. Although this is going to be a little less applicable against K rule, but still, it is an option and it is possible. But I generally recommend just relying on back air and reverse up B if they're recovering to the ledge, and then wall jump into second hit of neutral air or wall jump into up B if they're going far enough. They are fully committed to the move, so they have no choice but to get hit by it as long as you're accurate. So just make sure you develop the confidence and practice off stage to where you can do so reliably, and you'll be able to just brutally murder these characters off stage. Next up, there are characters who almost always recover very high. Good examples would be like Wario and especially Snake. So with these characters, you usually just have to accept that you're not going to be able to hit them outright. So most of the time, in the case of, say, Wario, this character is going to use double jump into bike or bike into double jump and then use their ambiguous movement to just get away from you. Keep in mind that they still don't exactly have the greatest of landing options despite good mobility and technically having a lot of options, because all of your options are in a way better position than theirs. So against those characters, it's usually best to try and jump and double jump really high to try and hit them before they even get a chance to get super high. Or if they're already up there by then, just accept it. And then use full hop up air and then fast fall down with it so that you can either one, hit them depending on their position, or two, they'll try and do like fast fall air dodge through you, in which case you can just react to the direction and cover it with dash attack, grab, pivot grab, or even raptor boost. And that's more or less what you're going to be doing to edgeguarding Wario, is just realizing that you're not going to effectively edgeguard him most of the time, accept that, and instead basically just do what is a very elaborate and somewhat odd way of ledge trapping. It's like ledge trapping, but instead of the ledge, it's the entire stage, where you don't let them land effectively, you throw them back on stage, and the process repeats. Don't see it as, man, I'm not killing my opponent, this is really frustrating. Look at it as, man, I've done like 100 damage to them and they haven't even effectively gone back in neutral yet. This is wonderful. That's the mindset you need to have when you're edgeguarding characters like Wario and Snake. Now with Snake, it's a little bit different because he can also land with grenades, and his hitboxes are a little more threatening to land with. But in that case, you're going to be significantly more reliant on regular grabs, falling aerials so that if you hit grenade, you'll drift below the explosion hitbox. And in general, just making Snake feel unsafe to just sit around in the air using your aerials. You mainly want to use your aerials not necessarily to hit him, but to just make him scared, commit to something that you can react to with pivot, grab, dash attack, or raptor boost. And as long as you do that, you'll be able to effectively cover their options and continuously force them off stage so that they'll take massive amounts of damage. It might take you a while to secure the kill, but it's worth it. There are also characters with multiple jumps, such as DDD, Meta Knight, Kirby, and others. So usually what you're going to do with these characters is just try and figure out what their habits are for using their various jumps and going from there. Because most of the time, people who play characters with multiple jumps have a lot of jump habits. So to just pay close attention to not only the amount of jumps they have, but the way they use each one, and trying to figure out what the goal behind each one is. From there, you can usually go after them with back airs to try and discourage them from using jumps in certain positions so that they're forced to use their jumps in other ones. A good Kirby player, for instance, might not want to risk getting hit by your back airs off stage, so they'll use their jumps mainly to get away from you, wait until you retreat back on stage, and then repeat the process. But if you say do back air and then make it look like you're going to do another back air, but you retreat back off stage, they'll retreat, and then you can just repeat the process again, except now they have less jumps. And at this point in time, they have significantly fewer resources they can burn, and thus everything they do at this point is now significantly more risky. So going back out there with back airs and trying to force them to recover high so you can down air it or reverse up B is significantly more effective than it is otherwise. Most of these characters aren't going to want to recover at the ledge because of how easily you can two-frame them with down air, or even ledge trump into back air. So because of this, you mainly just want to keep them from recovering low, and then cover their higher options with a wall of back airs, using one back air to make it look like another's coming so that you can jump back on stage and refresh the process. Or just going out there with more back airs, and then if they go above you, double jump back air or reverse up B. It's fantastic. After that point, there are mostly just characters with somewhat oddball recoveries that are more horizontally centric with the hitbox, such as like Bowser's up B, Donkey Kong's up B, or like Incineroar stuff. So against these characters, what you're generally going to be doing is relying more on down air. Down air is your best friend against characters with horizontally centric recoveries for the simple and logical reason that they can simply recover much further horizontally than they can vertically. So because of this, being sent off stage downwards is significantly more harmful than being sent off stage horizontally. So the way you're going to go about this is a lot of smart players of these characters are going to specifically delay the recovery as much as possible so that you'll try and down air them at the soonest possible opportunity they might recover so that they can then just go right past it and not care. So most of the time, there are two main recovery mix-ups you need to deal with these characters. There's either going to, one, stall their recovery so that they can get to the ledge at the last possible moment, in which case you just wait for it and down air right before they hit it. Or two, you just go out there deep and hit them with back airs as another way of punishing them for waiting it out. Or even immediate reverse up B, since that will usually beat most of these recoveries pretty reliably. Otherwise, I just recommend going off stage, practicing to see how far you can get with various maneuvers, and going from there. Most of Falcon's edgeguarding, optimally speaking, can be kind of segregated into various groups based on how you cover certain options versus other options. But at the end of the day, he's a very flexible character. So I just recommend practicing these things and trying to find your own things too. He's a character that you can freestyle with, I would argue, more than average. So because of this, find more ways to edgeguard your opponents and go from there. Either way, I hope you found this video useful. Obviously, it doesn't cover literally everything, but it's a good start. And from there, if you guys liked this content for whatever reason, feel free to like and subscribe. And if you really like me for some godforsaken reason, feel free to hit notifications on my channel. I'd really appreciate it.